for me, how's it hanging? How's it happen? You guys know this is Kevin from the Chord Progression Podcast. The podcast Rolling Stone Magazine describes as the one that initiates profound discussions with rock and metal artists, allowing fans to cover the creative workflow of their favorite musicians and understand the factors that make the band succeed or fall from fame. We are all sponsored by Dark Fusion Systems, the best for your custom computing needs. Get $100 off your entire build code CPod at darkfusionsystems.com. Links to the podcast below. Let's go to our feature presentation. 3 years ago, we had the guys in Valoria on the podcast, and we are coming right back at it with them once again. They got a brand new song out as of the recording of this episode called, Find a Way. It's a good song. We talk about it. We dive deep into it. But this is where the conversation gets great. As a growing band, we talk about the business side of things. We talk about what bands have to go through from an analytical standpoint, the importance of using those analytics for the business and administrative side, to not let the numbers drive what you do creatively, but also the strategies that young bands and everyone should understand and use when it comes to promoting your band in the year 2025. You guys ready? Let's go! Yeah! Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, listeners of the Chord Progression Podcast. It has been our goal, our mindset over the past 6 years to make sure that not only we're giving you the best bands that you know and love today, but the best bands that you should know and love going forward. We're supporters of new bands, new music, and we wouldn't be doing that if we, weren't as into music as much as we are. We have brought many bands on the podcast before and many young bands as well that we love to bring back, see what they're up to, and get you to know them once again if you forgot about them. So bad. It's a very bad Mr. Kitty. But going forward, you got to remember these guys. They have a brand new song called Find a Way, which recently released right before we recorded this episode, so you can go check it out. But please welcome back the guys in Valoria, Dean, Joey, Jonathan, Justin, and Rick to the podcast. So, gentlemen, welcome back.
Hey,
what's up?
Appreciate being back. Yeah, thanks for having us, man.
Thanks for being back, guys. I had to check the date of when we last had you guys on the podcast. I looked at the recorded date, and that was May 1st of 2022. So 3 years ago, pretty much.
That's insane. That's insane.
We got a lot to catch up on then, don't we?
Yeah.
We got a lot to catch up on as, 3 years older, hopefully 3 years wiser, and hopefully our bodies haven't broken down going past the 30 mark, like some of us.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. Dino could talk about that one.
Yeah, it's like my ankle did not make it this past 3 years.
The Dead Languages tour? Oh, boy.
Yep.
So did you, every time, he came up on stage just hobbling up, do you have like the little gif of the guy from SpongeBob going, my leg?
Yeah.
that was basically our the every night was making sure Dino was all right with his leg. Like
that was our
actively on
cry.
stage. Yeah.
You should have gone like full Dave Grohl on and built him his own throne so he could sit down with his leg up and play, and then he's fine.
If only we thought about it that much in advance. Instead, I was just hobbling around everywhere I was.
You didn't even
stuck on risers.
You don't even
You
need
got a
to.
tattoo about it, though.
I did. I got a tattoo about it. That's usually how I fix problems.
You got a problem? Put some ink on your body. You got stress going on? Just ink it out. You're having a good time? Ink it out. You're bored? Yeah. Just write something on there and have it put on there permanently.
I like the way you think.
But maybe next time, you don't even need to get a throne. Just get one of those like $15 lawn chairs from Walmart and set it up. And it's just make sure you come out in a Hawaiian shirt, glasses, and look like Weekend at Bernie's when you're playing. I mean, no one's gonna be able to tell what's going on. But it's gonna stand out like hell.
I've been talking to the boys to get me like just straight like hung up and just move me around on stage. That's it.
Just marionette Joey.
Just marionette
Joey.
Like the NSYNC music video?
Pretty much. I have my little like headset on and everything. Yep.
Just as long as you guys
headset.
walk out to bye then, and you're just like this, then that's gonna be even better.
The world doesn't
That's the
need
goal.
that. They don't need to see the five of us recreate that.
Oh no, we're not talking about the 5 of you recreating that. We're just talking about Joey creating that.
All right, so we're good then.
5 times.
5 times.
5 times.
Yeah, you're gonna have to get like 4 like life-size dummies that are right next to him, and they're connected to him as well. So every time he moves his right hand, like the right hand's all move. Every time his left hand, the left hand's all move. I'm pretty sure they did that sometime back in the 1930s, trying to make some sort of weird effect. I mean, bringing it back almost 100 years later for the live show. Will people look at it weird? Probably, but who cares?
It gets people talking. If people are talking, we're in a good spot.
Exactly.
Hey,
Is that the real
sometimes
Joey? No, maybe
I'll
not.
say sometimes or bad publicity can be good publicity, or any publicity can be good publicity. If it's like, oh, look at the stupid shit they're doing, it's like, well, what kind of stupid shit are they doing? Oh, that's funny. I want to go and find out more about them. I mean, think about all the crazy music videos that Electric Callboys made over the years, and they have grown massively because of the interest that those videos started.
Yep.
Yeah, they seriously blew up. Holy crap.
I mean, shit, like right before the pandemic, it was, I mean, you may have heard of them, not many people did. And then when Hypa came out, everyone started to watch music video, get into them.
Yep.
Last time they came to the States in 2024, they did a small run between like Welcome to Rockville and Sonic Temple. They were playing shows to like 4,500 people a night.
That's
So that's 4 years after the Hypa video dropped, and it's like, damn, sometimes stupid shit works.
Yeah. Or like the like the old like Gangnam Style video when that came out like 12 years ago or something, and then that blew up, and like those things live for a long time.
It's like the absurdism route when those things hit and you do it right. I feel like can hang on to the in the zeitgeist for quite a while. People love it.
If you have a pop culture moment with them, it's going to hang on forever.
Mm-hmm.
That's the impact we want. We just want to be weird, especially me.
Well, with that being the impact you guys want, it's been 3 years since you've been on the Chord Progression Podcast. So since May of 2022 up till now, let's catch up with you guys, catch everybody up on what has Valoria been up to, what has happened with the band, and why haven't we seen any of the absolute utmost wacky shit to see you guys play in front of 4,500 people a night because everyone's into it.
Oh, wow.
Damn.
Oh,
Well,
we start,
I mean-
so June 2022, we, no, I'm kidding. You really want to know.
When mommy metalcore and daddy metalcore really like each other,
Yeah, yeah.
They go to a show and they call somebody posers and they hook up in the bathroom. They don't talk to each other until the baby's born.
Here I am.
And then Valoria.
No, I mean, I think a quick synopsis summary is just, when we last spoke with you, we were just on the sort of release cycle of Dead Languages. We were hyped. We were, right before the full EP drop. We had announced Wanderers. We still had another single to come out, and then the EP release. And pretty much since then, we got the full EP out, and we were just really excited about the reactions that we were getting from people. It was a very positive sort of response from people, and then we've just been like working really hard. We were trying to just like really figure out. We were in this position of like, you're in a new band trying to find an audience, and you're trying to get to all these places. We're really trying to grow into new, figure out where our markets are, figure out where are the people that have been listening to us, on Spotify and sort of, online for the last couple of weeks. And so we're just like really working hard on trying to like expand and play into new areas, really push ourselves on sort of like the touring side, getting into new states, and we're still obviously still trying to do that. There's still plenty of areas that we haven't got to hit yet, but we eventually released a music video for our second single, Translations, and that did really well. We were really happy and proud of how that came to be. The reception of that was really great. That was sort of the first, I guess, single that we released that introduced the saxophone element of our music, which you probably didn't get that hint from listening to Wanderers if that was the only thing you heard. It's kind of a nice contrast between the songs.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the EP as a whole sort of showcased, us just trying out different things and showing our different elements and our inspirations. And so we just kind of moved forward, hustled hard. We went on our Dead Languages tour. Dino broke his ankle, was stuck on, still went on tour though. He still pushed through. I got to give him credit for that,
Even if we had to hold his gear.
We had to lug his stuff in and out every night.
Every day, yep.
Lug Dino in and out every night. And
Yep.
but no, we're doing that. And then we've just been, the last year, if not more, last year and a half has been really working hard on new music. We've been hustling really hard. We have, a collection of new songs that we've been working hard on. That was a bad way to phrase that. We're working on Find a Way, and that which we just released. Obviously, in the music video for that, and we've just been keeping super busy working on new music and continuing to explore our sonic interests and trying to really push different boundaries and see what we're doing and meet new people and just to keep doing what we've been doing and just expand on it.
Well, especially as a band that you're at your stage of the game and your size, that's something you have to do is not only continue to work on new music to discover more of what your sound is, because I remember when I first brought you guys on, this was, right after Wanderer was released. It was still before Dead Languages, the EP, was released in full. So it was very new and very fresh for a lot of people at that point in time. And over the past 3 years, it's any band, any art, anything in creative space. You got to continue to hustle with it. You got to continue to push forward on it and try as many avenues as possible to get your music out there, to get your art out there, and to get people interested in it as well. It's anything that can be done. And, you guys are doing the right thing too by taking a look at the numbers. Unfortunately, I don't want to, be like, you can't just, you got to, expand more, but you got to always look at the numbers too to be more in sync with what's going on there. Spotify and streaming, it's sometimes they're great, sometimes they're bad, but they're great tools in order to be able to find out who's listening to your music, where are they located, and maybe get an idea of why they're listening to it in that space. So you have a better idea of when it comes to playing shows, where you're going to be more successful playing shows, where can you market to better to get your music out there. And beyond that, when it comes to creating new music and getting out there, where might be the more important places to push, maybe on social media, maybe if it's like trying to get a radio campaign. Yeah, that could be expensive, but at least you have an idea of where you could go with this that is going to give you the best chance to be successful, instead of trying to do the spray and pray method of let's just put it everywhere and hope it hits. Your guys are having the ability to concentrate a little bit more to make sure that hustle pays off in a much grander sense.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I mean, one sort of quantifiable example would be we played a festival down in Tennessee this past summer, last July, and that was the first time we had stepped foot as a band performing. Sorry, it was the festival was in North Carolina, and we played, and that was the first time performing as Valoria in North Carolina for us. And we played part of this festival, and we played our set. And I remember, we finished our set, and as I'm getting my stuff off the stage, people coming up to us and be like, "Hey, you guys sounded great. I wasn't expecting the saxophone. It sounded really great. You guys were really, really good show. Really happy to see you." There were like 3 bands on my list of bands that I wanted to see on this festival, and you guys are one of them. And I was like, this is like incredible. I'm like, this is crazy. This is like this random person I've never met before in a state I've never, performed in, telling us like, hey, they were looking forward to seeing us at this festival. So it just kind of goes to show like, yeah, we're still working through that. And because of that, we'll probably get into this later, but we're we want to make sure we go back into those areas where like, hey, we got a chance to, impress these people. They were excited to see us, and we want to go back and like pay that back to them.
Right. And also want to add on to that, like, since like you brought up Kevin, the analytics of things, like, as a musician myself, like growing up, playing shows was like the most best thing you can do to get yourself out there in like the early 2000s. And like that's what built out momentum. Nowadays, like I never really actually took appreciation or perspective into the analytics aspect of that. And after like going in with it with with Dino, with the rest of the band, I've learned so much and where to hit those numbers and see how it affects us. And it's a completely different ball game now when it comes to bands. And like it's either you have to adapt to it, see the numbers, and then like execute as best as possible with those actual analytics and results. And it's been working out wonders for us because we've been paying attention to where we're playing, to and a lot of other aspects. So I think it's definitely a good thing for sure.
It's a good thing. And go ahead, Dean. I cut you off on that one.
Oh, no, sorry. I was just saying it's kind of trying to merge those two worlds of, all the analytics and this online culture of trying to grow numbers and have those quantifiable statistics, and also, building a culture and building, the actual grassroots support through touring and really kind of throwing it back, like Joe was saying, to the early 2000s when we were coming up. That was such an important piece of it. So it's, the world's evolving and changing, but we owe so much of ourselves to that old grassroots structure. We want to make sure, we stay true to that, because that piece of it is, so intrinsically kind of baked into why we do this. And what a big part of it is that we don't want to kind of get lost and not see the, the forest for the trees and whatnot.
Exactly.
I do want to add to that too, because of course, doing this podcast for over 600 episodes over 6 years at this point during a huge transition period like this, because I started this at the beginning of 2019. We're in 2025 right now. So we've seen that transition through the pandemic. We've seen the emergence of TikTok. Of course, some of these analytical platforms and streaming were there, and the delivery system of music on the internet through social media streaming was already there, but it's much more prominent in 2025 than it was back at the beginning of 2019. But to add to that towing the line, I think you have to use the analytics as a band for more of the business and administrative things that come forward. So knowing where it's best to promote your music, and understanding of who is listening to your music and where are people interacting with it the most, that is going to give you the best bang for your buck when it comes to getting your music out there and having the best chance to get more known and grow from there. Whether it's, looking at what's hitting best for you guys on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, what's hitting best for Spotify, what areas of the country are you performing the best in, like analytically, so you can go tour there like you guys did with North Carolina and that festival. But you don't want to use the numbers to dictate what you do creatively. This is something that we've been harping on the podcast this year, and I want to make sure we go back on this again, because if you're trying to focus in on the numbers when it comes to what you're doing creatively, that's where your music is going to end up suffering, because it's going to lose that edge of who you guys are. It's going to lose that core value of who you are as an artist. Then you're trying to constantly do something that's going to get viral on TikTok. You're trying to create that moment, and then it becomes disingenuous with the music. You're trying to add something in there, put something in there just to try and beat the numbers on your previous single, where it might hit, but then you're chasing trends at that point and you just get lost in the shuffle. So it's kind of towing the line of keeping the analytics side for how you are marketing yourselves, the business side, the administrative side, but not using those to dictate what you do creatively with your music.
Exactly. And I like how you brought that up, Kevin, because we've all seen bands that are on like all these social media platforms that have been chasing those trends after hitting that hit mark, hitting that kind of viral kind of position. And it's all good. It's all great. Obviously, if you're promoting a band, if you're promoting yourself as an artist, do all as you can. But if you lose your integrity along the way, that's what's viral. That's very important to save within in an artist aspect, because again, I just see a lot of bands do the same exact thing, and they try to, like you said, chase that dream, chase that algorithm, chase that trend to a point where they lose they just change over time, and it's a different band at the end of the day. And that's what I want to save us from doing, and we make sure all of ourselves keep us in check with our integrity. So
I think another thing to remember too is we talk about the analytics side of things, and the business side of the industry, which is not pretty, but we say, oh, there's these numbers that all these different artists are forced to really chase, right? But at the end of the day, you can't forget that these numbers are people, right? We say, oh yeah, we want these numbers to grow, you want to reach more, but it's reaching more people. And that's the important thing, to make sure that we're able to, from our creative space, from our creative identity, to find a way to create a bond and a connection with those people. And as long as we still kind of remember that that's the ultimate goal, we are able to kind of work with what we have and build off of that. We don't kind of lose ourselves in the process.
exactly.
That might be one of the most important things I've ever heard said on this podcast, not only from just the artistic side, but just from the life side as well. Whether you're a musician, whether you're in corporate America, anything. Yeah, you want to hit those numbers, especially when it comes to listeners or things like that. But you got to remember that those numbers correspond with people. And it's people that end up driving forward if they're going to be connecting with your band or not, or connecting with you, or thinking about it from a corporate standpoint. Yeah, you're making all this money. It's like, okay, now we got to cut a number of people. You got to cut numbers, but you're cutting people. It's going to, pertain to all these different livelihoods. It's going to have an effect on people itself. People drive those numbers. It's a society full of humans. We're going to drive that standpoint. And especially from a musical standpoint or any creative standpoint, focusing on that fact makes us, you want to grow. So then how do we get more people engaged with the music? how do we best make this so that, when we're putting efforts out there, that they have the highest chance of being fruitful? Again, you guys are already doing this by looking at what areas of the country are best for you to play in and playing there. What places are best for you to promote your music, to promote them there? What style of content is best for you guys to promote your music and promote your band, and then focusing in on that? Because you can have fun with content, you can have all the good times with that too, and be creative with it, but analytics give you an idea of what's hitting on certain platforms and what's not, because you can be as creative as you want, but like, if you guys are succeeding in 30-second videos, go with 30-second videos and be creative in the way you want within that time frame.
Mm-hmm.
If it's posts and random Facebook pages, go with that, because that's more focused in on what you're doing. But then how you deliver that message, that's where the creativity comes in.
Exactly.
Yeah, and just looking at it from any particular creativity is sort of also born from like solving puzzles, right? So you can kind of look at it and say like, hey, here's a puzzle. We have these things that we like to do. There are these things that are, these groups and these audiences and these places that are reacting to it in a certain way. These are the bounds of this sort of, this puzzle that we have to work with. And now let's use our creativity to make the most of it and solve it, and get through it.
Right. And there's going to be trial and error along the way. And we have to take that no matter what, regardless, and have it a learning experience.
Yeah, no one's ever been perfect in trying to navigate this stuff. And at some point, everybody has had a promotional effort, especially as a band or creative, that has not worked out. Everyone's failed at some point with that. The question is what do you do with that failure? Do you just wallow in it and wither away and just say it's not worth it? Or do you sit back, do you take a look and learn from it and try and do better the next time, because now you at least have an idea of, okay, this didn't work. Maybe this is why it didn't work. Let's go about it in a different capacity. Let's change that variable up. And then all of a sudden you're going to get a different result. But if that different result doesn't work, okay, you got to try something different, but be more analytical and be more understanding with your approach. Don't do just, oh, this didn't work, so now we're going to try this completely different thing just because it is different.
Yep. Of course, you have to be more receptive. You're going to have to take that criticism, turn it into something positive, and make it your own. And also just take those lessons along the way and execute it properly in the future, better if possible. Mm-hmm. Again, it's all just a learning process.
So now let's get down to some specifics on that, because I want to make sure that everybody that is in a younger band has a chance to see what you guys have done with this, because we can talk about theory all day long with this and the ideas behind it, but I know some people learn best from examples. So what have you guys over the past couple of years in terms of promotion that you use these styles of analytics for? And of course, what were the outcomes? God, now I feel like I'm doing a job interview here. Shit. But I still want the answer to that question.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's a learning process, and it just you just spend time learning, right? It's adapting to your environment. It's looking at what's working, what's not. You figure out. It's just like anything else, It's a little bit of a fake it till you make it. You try things, you see what works. You remember that. You try to take the lessons learned from the failures of the past and use that to build on like informed decisions to the future. And it's the same thing with sort of analytics. You're just using that as the way to guide, is this the the city that we should be playing our next show on? Should we be booking in these markets? Should we be working with these bands? Should we be pushing ourselves creatively in the music space and say like, hey, I know we've written a couple of songs that are doing this, but maybe let's see what happens when we try something like this. Like, don't be afraid to experiment. Don't let that stop you from getting through something that might be just on the other side of that wall.
Exactly. And another thing I want to add to that is like, don't be afraid of learning new things from other people that are more experienced. Like, get on those calls, get on those like inquiries. Like, if you're looking at like management, if you're looking at like PR, and those people are accepting just free consultations, like that's an opportunity to learn. Those are you can take those take that like 30-minute phone call with said like booker, management, or PR agent that's willing to talk to you about your options and how it is, and just take in that information and do with it, and either go with them, but just overall, it's just an overall learning. Like again, we're going to keep using the word learning process because it's actually what it is. Ultimately, you take that information and you do the best you can with it, pretty much. But also, again, like, don't be afraid to reach out to those people that you think, because obviously, as musicians, we want to make sure that we're in the right headspace, that we're looking at the right numbers, that we have all these the checklists that we're trying to check every single day. It's like, am I looking at the right thing? Is it going to affect us this way or that way? But there could be another person that could look at it differently and shed more light on that. So don't miss that opportunity. And yeah, just reach out for sure.
That's some great piece of advice right there, to reach out and ask people for help with this as well, because there's plenty of bands out there that may have had some success with this, plenty of people in management that may have had success with this as well, and they can be more than willing to share some of these ideas with you. And then it all depends upon you with what you want to do with these ideas and how you want to act on them. But it gives you a much better opportunity to essentially grow with this. And especially if you're a younger musician and you want to start a band, yeah, this is something you're going to have to deal with. So you're going to have to get in the know with it. Or if you're in a band already and you're trying to make it grow and you're struggling, here are some things that you can do. Beyond that, though, for us as music fans, we get a better appreciation for the stuff that these bands have to go through now compared to what we think it is, because I feel like a lot of people, a lot of fans have this illusion that, the bands are still just going to get by on the music. And if the music is good, then they're going to be like, this band is the great, this is it. Why are they not getting bigger? If they're on a festival, why are they the ones opening the show? And why are they not getting bigger every single year? Why are they not moving up the bill like Bad Omens did or like Sleep Token did? But the thing that we want to talk about with this is we want to get a better understanding of how these things have changed, where bands that grew up and they got big, in the 2000s, like 2006, 2007, 2008 with MySpace, that doesn't pertain as much anymore. The principles still do, but the specifics don't. The specifics don't fit in what they did in 2013, 2014 with, the prominence of Twitter, Facebook still, and Vine. Now in 2025, yeah, TikTok, Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, short content is still the king, but 5 years from now, that could completely change. Streaming is king right now, but that could change as well. Everyone thought that, MP3s was going to be the end all be all because it was digital music, but now it was the next thing. What's going to be the next thing after that, and how are you going to play off of that? So it's always being aware of what is happening right now, but also looking ahead to see what might happen in the future and where can you best position yourself so that your band is going to be the one that grows. Bands are constantly going through this all the time, and us as fans have to realize that and understand this is why your favorite band right now isn't growing. This is why your favorite band right now is not playing bigger shows at times. And maybe, you could help out with it by spreading the word and talking more in places that people could be interested in. And then those bands see it, those bands get in the know with it, and now they build up on that. You could open up so many avenues for your favorite bands by just going online and talking about them. And then essentially it's free promotion right there. So if you love a band, that's all you got to do.
Yeah. And being involved in your scene, networking is a huge thing. The music industry is still very much sort of a grassroots, entity. It's about putting yourself out there, being proud of what you do, staying humble, always being willing to listen. Like Joe's talking about, ask for help, listen, but get yourself out there, talk to people, network, and see what they know. There's a lot of information out there. Everyone has different bits of it. So meet as many people as you can, talk, be genuine, and learn as much as you possibly can.
Yeah, and I think that's a big way to get the staying power, to stay kind of in the scene and around for a long time, is to build those connections and understand that kind of each step you're doing, you're bringing all those people with you and can kind of reach back out to the same connections and same pieces. That's what that staying power is, because a lot of people can catch that kind of internet wave for a minute or two, but then come crashing back down if they don't have the live performance and the infrastructure and the know-how to, keep that rolling, and know how to capitalize on it. That stuff can burn out pretty quickly if you don't have kind of the background and the, foundation from, grinding on it for a while, and, the things you can only learn from experience and having a million different experiences over decades of doing this. Yeah.
Well, in my mind, that's the perfect way to transition into this piece. 'Cause I, of course, want to talk about the music, but there is one thing I want to ask around this whole entire thing, because we're talking, looking at numbers, analytics, and doing what the best you can to not only understand your band, but also grow in the best way possible. And let's be honest, especially if you're in a creative side and you have a creative mindset, looking at analytics and trying to figure out the more administrative and business tasks, that can be boring as all hell. That can be a drag,
Yep.
but it's something you have to do. So let me ask you guys this, because you guys are creatives. You love making music. Otherwise, you wouldn't be in Valoria right now. You wouldn't be doing this. But when you have to do these things from, the analytics standpoint, from the business standpoint, and mentally you're like, I'm just not as into it, I'm not as inspired by it. How do you use your mindset, or what tricks do you have to make sure that you still do these things and get these done on a daily basis?
I can from my perspective. So what I do, like, think of yourself as a performer, a musician overall, and what you want to do is play shows, and that's perfectly fine. And your on-stage presence should be also your business presence. So what I do, I split that down the middle. So when I'm at practice, we could either be songwriting, or we could either be doing like analytics and doing like posting and social media stuff. I make sure I'm the same Joey as like playing music as I'm doing business as well. Because if you try to make them two different people, it's not going to mesh together. Because overall, that person that you're here to begin with is, here for the music and here for the growth. And it's the same reason why you're doing the analytics and the business behind it. So you're going to have to try to keep that kind of that level, that balance in between, and making sure that that is the same persona that you're going to keep regardless. So again, it's performer Joey, music Joey, but also at the same time, I can switch right down to analytics, business, posting, social media, and be the same person. And that's like, we've came across a lot of bands in the past couple of months that have that kind of persona, that have that kind of approach. And learning from them, they're playing a show and they're editing photos. They're playing a show, also doing editing videos at the same time off stage. And like, you're gonna have to wear all these hats because it's all going to be promising, and also very, it's good overall, and the progression and the evolve and how you progress as a musician and a performer overall. So yes, that's how I do it.
Like for me, it's the band is like the baby, like we wouldn't want to, not paying attention to it. We wake up every day being like, all right, we want to take that one step closer to like why we're all here. Like we all share a common dream is to like make it. So like that's the motivation, is that like when we can't just go on stage every day and play music. There's some things on the back end that need to get done so that way we could play bigger shows and better shows going forward. And that's the motivation to get up to go do so with the band, is that like if we just put a little bit more time into it, on the other side of it, we'll get something, like it'll be successful. We just have to, put our minds to it together.
So those are
And I
two.
think-
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. No, I was just gonna say, and at a practical level too, I think we're also, we're in constant communication with each other too. So we're hopping on, voice calls, video calls a couple times a week just to like help keep each other accountable for whatever. That there's a lot of responsibilities that need to be covered when you're sort of in this content creation world, or within this sort of creative space. It's like, yeah, okay, the creative, the most enjoyable part of it is still just one piece of it, and there's a lot of work that kind of supports that, like Rick and Joey were saying. So we just try to, okay, is there a way that we can divide that effort amongst us and just like help cover each other for when we need to, and hold each other accountable to make sure, like, hey, make sure this email gets out, make sure this person talks to whatever, make sure we take the time to like take a look, get an understanding of this thing, and all that kind of stuff, just to make sure these things still happen and move forward. Because you don't want to like have a lapse in progress because of letting things slip through.
Where I was going to go with that, it kind of just builds off on what you were saying, Justin, is if you want to add to, especially from the administrative side and the business side, but with the things that are more analytics driven, the things that are more consistent, that don't have a lot of that, you have to be creative with the music or just creation in that aspect. Create a system for yourself that's going to allow you to do this consistently. And over time, you're going to get used to it. And it's going to be something where You're going to refine it. It's always going to get better, and you can always improve on it. It's going to potentially suck at first because you're trying to figure out something, trying to become the habit of it. But as you keep it going, it's going to get easier. You guys do it with this as well by keeping yourselves accountable, by always talking about this and having like, okay, you're doing this, you're doing this, you're doing this. Let's make sure everyone's held accountable for it. For me with the podcast, it's similar where it's, okay, I know things that have to get done when it comes to putting these episodes out, when it comes to creating the things on YouTube, the descriptions, everything, when it comes to creating the extra content, what I'm looking for, when it comes to the promotion of them, what am I looking for? It takes time to get that down, but because I've gotten it down, it goes from me spending an hour trying to promote the podcast every single episode, Tuesday and Thursday, to the best of my ability, to now I have that down in 20 minutes. Now, again, that's not the most fun thing in the world, but I've cut out 40 minutes of my time where I have that free up to do anything else I need because the system's in place to continue to do this. And as you create more systems around there for the business side of things, it becomes much more streamlined in the end. So you're still doing everything on the business side, but you're not spending as much time as you would, and you can spend more time on the creative aspects that really drive the band as a whole.
Yep, absolutely.
Yep. You said it. You darn said it.
I'll say, look at us giving all these young bands out there and these growing bands ways to better themselves so that, when it comes to every band trying to get out there, get their music out there, they're doing the best they can. But I would be remiss if we weren't talking about music on this podcast because you guys recently released Find a Way, the brand new song in March. And I got to ask, what came with the song, how the whole entire thing come together. Let's get people in this song if they haven't heard it yet, because I want them after this interview to say, I got to go down the script for the podcast. I got to find the music video for it because it's going to be linked down there, and I'm going to go watch it right now.
Yeah. So we, music video for Find a Way, our latest single, just released March 5th, 2025. And the song kind of goes back to, again, like we said earlier, we kind of finished our Dead Languages cycle, and then we were eager to kind of just get back into our creative selves and switch back from playing a ton of shows and interacting with people to like turning into hermits and just like focusing on our craft and our sound and getting just getting excited to like explore the creative side of things. And so while we have a whole group of songs that we've been working on, this one in particular, we started working on, maybe a little less than a year ago is when we started working on this song. And it kind of came from a prompt of where I was just like, what would Valoria sound like if we were just like in an arena? Like if we were to play at some arena stage, playing with, band, at like the My Chemical Romance, Bring Me the Horizon, Fall Out Boy sort of tier, like what would that song sound like? Like what would that be? And that was sort of the initial prompt I kind of gave myself as I started just like riffing that one Saturday afternoon, and then just the song kind of fell in itself to and it came together pretty quickly. So it was just a matter of like here's the initial prompt. That I kind of gave myself, writing some stuff. I put together a very quick rough demo, sent it to the band, and they were all like, "Hey, this is great. Let's work on this, at our next practice." And next thing you know, Joey shows up, and we just start noodling around with some melodies and some lyrics and fine tuning things. But like the core fundamental stuff came together very, very quickly, which was really exciting. It was just like, "Hey, we love this. We love how this section flows. We love the way this sounds and how this moves," and then we just kind of built off of it. But the song came together like very quickly, and then we shortly after that we were like, hey, this song's done, pieced together. Let's get in the studio. We know we want this to be a single. Let's get in the studio. Let's finish record. Let's get a good recording of it. Now let's go film a music video. And while all that was happening, we had some ideas sort of during the writing process for like how the music video could kind of tie in with the idea of the song as well, obviously, and it kind of all pieced that together. And now here we are. The song's out.
Yeah, we're wicked excited. Like what Justin was saying, like having that type of like mindset, like having an arena. It's more of an anthem song. It actually it's an uplifting song overall, and it spreads positive like views on a lot of things when it comes to like mental health and all that, which we've written in the past for Dead Languages, and we're so happy how it came together so easily. Like Justin said, we sat down with each other and it fell in place very quickly. And yeah, another again, going back to like having tips for like younger bands. Like if it's easy going, it should have it. If it sounds good, just go with it. And that's what we did. We rode that momentum, and that's where we are right now. And we're happy to release it and share with everyone.
That's a good thing to give a younger bands too. Just if it sounds good to you, just ride the momentum of it, because you're the ones that have to like the song in the end, because it's your creation. If you're like, we're putting out this song and I'm not really that into it, then if you're not into it, how is everybody else going to be into it if the people that created aren't even into it? It's kind of like a catch-22 in that way. But one thing that does stand out is when you guys said that this was more of like, you're thinking about this as a prompt of, if this is going to be played in an arena, like if you guys are opening up for Fall Out Boy or opening up for Bring Me or opening up for My Chem, what would be the biggest thing that you guys could create? And that's something that, again, it's a creative prompt that you guys didn't just say, we have to do this. Justin, you're like, I kind of want to try this. So you went with it. It was natural. And that's where a lot of this stuff comes in. Listening through the song, even at the end, I said, like in a live setting, this could really be something where the mix and the sound could really put forward together, because especially the creative build to the breakdown could leave a lot of people feeling a lot more anxious and a lot more emotional, with a want to break away from whatever undesired path they're going in their lives sooner rather than later. That's the power that that song has because of the drive behind it. But in a live setting, the amplification of that with a mix you guys use on that could be so much greater to have that impact that you're looking for.
Yeah, I think, like Joey was saying, there's an emotional connection there where, from some, I guess, sort of the mental health side of things, just like, hey, here's something, trying to spin sort of a positive light. Sometimes people just, we live in and we work within this genre, which is, historically has, a lot of like, well, emotional stuff. Of course, you have things that are exciting. You have things that are, sad, depressing, and you're trying to work through just like this like mixed set of emotions that you don't quite understand, you don't know how to put to words or whatever, and so we kind of use music as a way to like to speak that and to communicate it. But this, I think, what we kind of landed with for the song, it was important for us to like have something that like gave some sort of a positive spin on something. It's not guaranteeing anything. There, of course, there's always turmoil. There's always going to be conflict in a person's life. Everyone has their own history and their own issues that they're working through on any given moment. But it's important to remember, like, hey, at the end of the day, there is something to look forward to that you can push through. And we kind of just wanted an opportunity for to be able to connect with those people and say, like, hey, if you feel like you're in this kind of a position, like just there's find a way, right? Like it's in the song title, it's in the chorus. Find a way to stop from sinking, find a way to keep on breathing. The lyrics of the chorus are kind of just like, okay, take a step back here, figure out how to stop heading in this sort of like negative direction. Just take a moment for yourself, breathe in, and then figure out the right way to turn this around into something positive. Like you kind of recognize that you have this one little spark left that you really want to kind of turn around, and that it's not too late to act on that and to like and to really build off of it and build your momentum into like the direction that you want to go.
The crazy thing is there's always going to be that spark there no matter what, that you can always look deep into and find. It may at times seem like it's not there, but when as a person you look down and you think, it seems like everything is going wrong, if nothing's going your way and there's no way to turn it around, okay, what's the one thing that can turn it around? And that's you and your actions right there. So that's a great thing about Find a Way, and why the more idea and prompt of let's see what we can do and create a song that sounds like it should be an arena and hits heavy and hard like that in an emotional standpoint, because people need to feel that. People need to hear that in order to find that potential hope in the darkest of times. When you're going down the path that you don't want to go down, it can get pretty depressing and it can get pretty dark at times, because all you see is maybe the choices that you make are to go down a path that you don't necessarily want to go down, but you're doing it to potentially make sure you don't lose your job, or make sure that it's a job that you don't even like, or continue to please somebody that you don't even care for, or trying, as they say, keeping up with the Joneses. And you're doing stuff that doesn't actually fit with your personality, fit with yourself, fit with who you are, fit with your soul even. And as you're trying to find a way to break out of that, the thing is always, you can, even in the darkest times, go deep down and first find out who you are. Then find out exactly what decisions you're making that are preventing you from going to, being the happiest that you are and to who you are, and find a way of what decisions you're making right now that could change that to start that positive momentum going. Of course, it's going to take some time, but that's the find a way, is just to find a way to get some positive momentum rolling, because it's like a snowball going down a hill. All of a sudden, it's going to start picking up more snow, and next thing you know, it's a freaking avalanche coming at you, but it's all positive because you are rolling down the hill, and anything that's in your way that is negative is like, push it the fuck away. We're coming down here, and if you're going to try to stop us, fuck it, you're going to get caught in
it. Yeah.
Exactly. Want to push all that negativity away completely, and just, the message is clear. You have to find a way. That's it. No matter what.
And that's why, especially with this one too, with this song, the bridge and the breakdown, when you start to get that heavier sense to it, because that's the moment where you feel like, especially when you're trying to find a way to break away from these negativity things and finally find out, back to who you are yourself and get on that positive path. It gets that amplification rolling. It gets that positivity started. And then right when they hit that massive scream hits, it's a metalcore bursting sound perfectly placed in there. Add the unclean vocals in the second half to just add more to that visceral reaction. This gives the song that aggressive release to that realization of what is happening, getting that frustration, understanding that it is going to take one step at a time to get better. But this is that first step going forward, is the realization that there is a problem and you realize what it is. So it's the perfect place as a song to start that momentum rolling once again. And sonically, especially as you get towards that breakdown, it's the piece to finally get that first push to getting that positive momentum going in.
Yeah, and it like you said, it provides that moment of like release. Like you have this potential, all this like negative energy inside of you, and now it's your break. You're letting that break free. Get that energy out of you and sort of transition yourself into the sort of positive snowball, the proverbial snowball that is going to build on into a sort of a better life.
Now what you guys have to do is that when you play shows, you have to play this song last and close with it. And then as you walk off stage, you have to play Queen's I Want to Break Free as you're walking off. I want to break free. Just add more to
coming up. Don't spoil.
I'm not trying.
Who told you?
Who told
you
this?
I wish I could say my Magic 8-Ball told me, but I have not owned one since I was in the 7th grade. So shit. I found out about it, let's say, I was playing Pokemon and Mr. Psychic told me about it.
Nice.
Oh, okay.
All right. That tracks.
That tracks.
Yeah.
That tracks. That makes sense. But of course, we're in 2025 right now. We're in full swing with it. But what else you guys got going on the rest of the year? Come on, let's get the people excited.
Well,
Okay.
Ooh, yeah.
Ricky.
Ricky, what do you mean, Ricky?
John?
I think Justin said it. We're working on a few songs. We got a plethora of songs kind of hanging out. We are going on tour in 10 days, something like that, with our friends Atlanta Day in North Carolina. We have some festivals coming up as well, going into the spring, into the summer. And then, we're confirming a little bit more for the rest of the summer and the rest of the fall.
Yeah, to be specific, we're playing Launch Music Conference in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and we're also playing Elephant Talk Indie Music Festival in Atlantic City, New Jersey, and those will be kind of back-to-back weekends. So if you're not able to catch us on the tour with Atlanta Day, which will kind of stretch from, up north down to, Tennessee area, North Carolina again, and back around. If you're not able to catch us on that, catch us on a few of the festival dates. And like I said, we'll be releasing more and more songs and dates as the year kind of goes. So keep an eye out for all that stuff.
And if you can't catch them on those dates, there's more dates coming. like they just said.
Always more dates.
Always
more
more
dates to
dates.
be had.
Yeah.
Yep.
Depending on when this episode's posted, but yes, it's maybe not in 10 days, but we'll be out there definitely in the end tail of March for sure. And later on this year, we've been working on again what Ricky was mentioning, a nice set of songs that we'll be releasing in the near future.
Well, let's see you guys break out of the East Coast markets and come a little bit more towards the Midwest over here.
No, don't tempt us. Don't make us do it.
Hey, I dare ya.
There we go.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah, that's it.
You triple dog, don't triple dog me.
Don't triple dog.
Don't triple dog there.
See you this fall.
There's a progression here. I gotta follow the progression. Christmas Story was the only time where that ethical, progression of daring was broken. The overall process was breached. Like, I can't break that. But now I double dare you.
Yeah. There we go. Now we're here.
Now we're amping it up. But I got one more question for you guys before we wrap this up, and it's going to include all of you. Ever since, I want to say, September of 2023, I started asking this question to every single artist I possibly can in this podcast. It's a great way for us to get to know new music, and it's a great way for us to also get into the music that you guys love as well. There are 5 of you, so I'm going to ask you for one example each, okay?
Okay.
Can you guys name me a band or artist that you love that you would love to see more people get into right now?
Bill Murray. I love Bill Murray more than anything. I think a lot of people are like watching Bill Murray, but I think more people should watch Bill Murray.
Someone other than me go, please. I
Straight
need
from
more
the
time.
path. Straight from the path. Dino can attest. I'm listening to them quite a bit.
That is true.
Their
I've
drummer
gone-
is probably my latest influence, if you will. But kick-ass band. What were you gonna say, Dean?
I was saying, I've sat with 3+ hour car rides with John where he plays nothing but Straight from the Path discography on repeat. So
That's crazy.
You guys are gonna
I
take my
can
buddy
attest
Shane.
for that.
You guys are gonna take my buddy Shane with you out on the road. That's what he loves. So 3 hours of straight from the path. He's in for it,
Hell yeah.
and he'll be in the
So
crowd
the-
starting the mosh pit up. So you're good.
All right, we like people like that.
I'd say my answer, although they're pseudo on hiatus, is Fireworks. I have their lyrics tattooed on me. They're my favorite band from forever ago out of Michigan. I think more people check them out, try to bring them back from their hiatus. They kind of shadow drop albums here and there and play random shows. So the more people get into Fireworks, the more they'll be apt to stay around more often.
For me, I've been in a lo-fi type of like craze lately. It's really good with anxiety. So if you guys are anyone listening this like are dealing with anxiety, depression, lo-fi, love it. It's a good processing. I like to create things while I'm listening to it. But Taki Brano, good shout out, plug in. Alex, love you so much.
What a plug.
I'm so bad at picking this stuff because I'm so indecisive. I'm gonna say that that's not even a good thing. I'm just gonna say I'm gonna throw out Seosin just because they're a legacy band. They've been around a while. They're one of my main inspirations. I've listened to them countless hours. And they're a great collective group. And they're awesome. So they're sort of coming back. They're playing shows again, and they're great. I just love what they kind of do and their style. And they're big. Like I said, they're a big inspiration for me historically. In my sort of style of writing, I pull a lot of like inspiration from what they kind of do. And I think they're a great band to listen to if you haven't heard from them yet.
Those are 5 great picks. Now I got a question. One more question for you guys before we wrap this up. Every time I ask this question, I always go through and I always love the picks, but I've never actually given one myself during this. So should I go for it?
Yeah.
Go for it.
All right,
Yeah.
let's go.
Alrighty. I mean, obviously Valoria is the one that you want to go with, but I can't just go with the obvious answer. So, who do I go with? I've had so many bands on the podcast. You know what? I'm going to go with a good buddy of ours in the podcast. He's probably been on here, I think 4 times, maybe 5 times. No, 5 times so far. His name's Joey Arena. His band is called Outlier. OVTLIER from, I believe, Rochester, New York.
Yeah. We've heard of them.
Dude, the band absolutely rips. Beyond that, though, every conversation I've had with Joey, it's like Christmas for the podcast because I'm like, this is going to be one of the best conversations I have all year. So if you guys get a chance to go and see Outlier or go on the road with Outlier, please, please, please do because it would be fun.
You said they're based out of Rochester, New York?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
You triple dog dares?
Oh,
yeah. Yes, I do. Now, that is the perfect way to close this out in a triple dog dare. So, gentlemen, I want to thank you for being on the podcast once again. But a triple dog dare means we have to end this podcast with 3 very specific things. First things first, when it comes to Valoria, when it comes to the brand new song, Find a Way, and when it comes to more new music coming out in 2025 and more shows coming out, you're going to want to stay in the know with them and follow along with them. So, go to the description of the podcast where it says Find Valoria Online. Links and labels for everything going to be down there. So, go and follow along with them, listen to their music, and become a fan. Don't disappoint us. Don't do it. Now it's step number 2. Gentlemen, you've been on the podcast before, and I made a promise to you that said, when I get to see you perform live for the first time, first round's on me. That was 3 years ago. It has been 3 years, and I have not seen you guys play live yet. Does that promise still stand? Yes. But does it double? Yes.
Yes. Let's go.
Hey, he just
really coming.
He just quadruple dog dared us.
Yo,
I just quadruple dog dared you, but you know what? How about I quintuple dog dare you on this? You guys make it happen.
With a good time.
You guys make it happen at a show in the Midwest. It's not going to be 1 round or 2 rounds. I'm going to come out. I'm going to bring you a full case of beer of, some of the best beer in Wisconsin that I can find and bring it to you guys. It will be a special delivery. I've done it before. It's fun as hell, and I want to do it again.
Let's do it.
Yes, let's do it.
Absolutely.
Let's do it.
Perfect.
I'm trying to drink some beer in a cornfield.
Cornfield, you're going to take my beer to Iowa then? What the hell? If you want to drink in Wisconsin, you're going to sit in a farm field and you're going to drink it sit next to a cow and then try and go cow tipping afterwards. That's how we do it here.
Yeah.
It's quite moving, if you know what I mean. And now it's time for number 3, guys. I can end this podcast by saying goodbye. That is way too final. I made you guys a promise. I doubled it. Beyond that, though, I got to bring you guys back on the podcast again. I got to see you perform live. So this cannot be goodbye. This has to be. I'll see you later.
See you later. Thank you again so much. It's been a pleasure.
Well, folks, my interview with the guys in Valoria. Now it's time for Kevin's final thought. We went all business on your butts today, and I'm really glad we did, too, for a number of reasons. One, of course, I've talked about this before on the podcast, not recently, though. I went to school for economics, so this stuff does have an interest for me, not only in that aspect, but also as a creative as well, because a lot of these things when it comes to numbers and promotion deal with the podcast as well, but it doesn't deal with how the episodes are made creatively. It's something that I have to do a little bit sometimes on the analytics side, but when it comes to the content, nope, you just got to roll with it. You got to create the best content you can and have fun with it. But when it comes to promotion, when it comes to knowing where to put your money to get your music out there, to best travel, to best play shows to the most amount of people, you have to take a look at these numbers and you have to do it consistently. But you also have to find a way to make sure you're not getting burnt out by it, because you very easily can. It is not the most enjoyable thing in the world. That is why I asked the guys for their strategies, what they do when it comes to how Joey saw it, when it came to specifically how Ricky saw it, and then how Justin looked at it as well from a systematic standpoint, and then I threw my systems point in there as well. It's something that's just to try and help out as many people as possible, understand what young bands are going through, what growing bands are going through in 2025, also how we can use it for our best ways creatively, whether you're a musician, whether you're a podcaster like myself, or in any other creative space. Beyond that, though, it helps all of us fans get to realize what bands have to deal with now and actually understand the reality behind it, because not many people might. So best chance to do it was right here. I want to thank the guys for coming on the podcast once again. Again, find Valoria online. Links to the podcast below. Everything is there, so please go follow along with them. Go see them at a live show. Go support them. You want to do it. All sports in the Chord Progression Podcast online. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Links to the podcast below. Hit the subscribe button right down here if you're on YouTube. Follow and subscribe to us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Hit the like button as well to help push these episodes in the algorithm. Help us out. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Valoria. And that's going to be me, everybody. Thank you for listening to the Chord Progression Podcast. I'm Kevin. And you guys know how I end every single one. That's a big, healthy, and hearty. See ya! Yeah.